Hello and welcome to Climate Check with me, Mary Mwikisa. Now, Zambia targets to produce about 3 million metric tons of copper by the year 2031. And of course, we have seen the mushrooming of mining companies, and also government is reopening some more mines in order to increase the production of copper, as well as create jobs through value addition. On the program today, we discuss sustainable mining. And of course, I will be speaking to stakeholders in this regard, especially learning from what happened on the copper belt not long ago, where there was acid and heavy metal pollution of the Kafue River and the surrounding environments. This is Climate Check. We'll take a break.
They have traveled to Chambishi on the Copperbelt to appreciate the magnitude of the pollution problem here. Mines Minister Paul Kavis and Copperbelt Province Minister Elisha Matambo have toured Sinometo's least tailings dam in Chambishi.
That's where the water went which way?
It went this way.
This follows the collapse of the dam recently, which led to the pollution of the Kafue River and Mwambashi stream in Kalulushi. After the tour, the two ministers held a media briefing which was attended by Sino management, who regretted the incident and apologized to President Hakainde Hichilema and the Zambian people. Copperbelt Minister Elisha Matambo has directed the mine to compensate the affected farmers, apart from increasing water supply to the affected residents.
We must concentrate in almost all the places. We must take lime to Mpongwe. We must make sure that whatever we are doing here in Kitwe, whatever we are doing here in Chambeshi, we also do it in Mpongwe, because we have our people there who have been affected, just like the people in Kitwe have been affected.
The Mines Minister Paul Kawisa said government will not reopen the mine until the dam walls are properly secured to prevent future accidents.
I also want to reinforce the suspension of operations by Mine Safety Department. That will be reinforced until we make good of the dam. The instruction to yourselves, of course, you are going to do your own, you are doing your own assessment, but government is also doing its own independent assessment. That dam was compromised. I think there was negligence, and we cannot continue on that path. So until the integrity of all those walls are checked, that's when operations will resume.
He, however, thanked the mine and government agencies for responding quickly to the accident, which could have been catastrophic.
The neutralization continued to this date. I am pleased to inform you that by yesterday at 6 hours, we received instructions from Unkanaota asking us to stop adding lime, because the pH had increased to above 8 by the obstruction point in Bulangiriro.
We had a gesture of goodwill from Sino Metals. They gave our people food items, which included 1 bag per family, cooking oil, and water for drinking.
CLAREXchange, ZNBC News, Kalulushi.
Welcome back to Climate Check. Let me now introduce my studio guests. I have with me Dr. Titus Hakonde, President of the Zambia Institute of Environmental Health. Welcome to Climate Check.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
All right, and next to him is Dr. Kelvin Kamayoyo, Technical Advisor, African Rivers. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you very much, Mary.
All right. Now, let's first appreciate, I think from African Rivers, your organization's interest is to ensure that we have healthy rivers, and as a country, we cannot thrive without these rivers. Let's talk about the pollution on the Copper Belt into the Kafue River. How did you receive that news, and what did you make of it?
Yeah, so thank you very much. And as African Rivers, maybe the viewers may wish to know that we are established solely to protect the health of rivers. And the question is, what does it mean when we say we want to promote health of rivers? So one of the issues that we look at is to ensure that the water quality is not contaminated or is not polluted. And also at the same time, our rivers, for them to be healthy, they must be free-flowing. So in the case of the Zambian context, and probably I must quickly mention that African rivers is a geographical scope in terms of concern about the health of rivers. It's not just Zambia. It goes beyond Zambia or the entire African continent. And for a good reason, because by nature, rivers are transboundary, meaning that they cross or they traverse more than one country. One example is the Zambezi River. For the particular case that we have, which is the Kafue River, the listeners and viewers may wish also to take note that Kafue River is the longest river in Zambia, which does not go to other countries. It starts and ends within Zambia. And it also throws its water into the Zambezi River. Now, when we heard that the Kafue River and also Mwambashi streams were contaminated, for us as African rivers, this was a sad situation because we now know that the baby that we protect, that we're established to protect, which is the rivers and the water itself, it means it's under threat. It means it cannot function as it should be. And we are aware that it was all because of the mining acid affluents, because of activities surrounding the mining activities. Yes, you mentioned regarding the potential for growth of the mining sector. The mining sector is also crucial to our economy, but at the same time, it should coexist with the rivers. And therefore, when we speak about sustainability, it means that the growth of the mining sector should not essentially compromise the health of rivers. In this case, it compromised the health of rivers through the pollution or contamination. So as African rivers, we received that news in a sad state, and we were concerned because the rivers are innocent in their nature and no one speaks for them. Of course, we all stay closer to them, but we don't know that they also have to coexist with us and they have a life. And this life is dependent that it should be free-flowing and it should be non-contaminated. The quality of water should be good so that it can be used for industrial use and also for drinking. So one of the reactions, Mary, that we did was immediately we heard that news, we had to also quickly send some of our officers who are based on the Copper Belt to go and just take a glimpse of what is happening there. And thereafter we conducted a media press briefing so that we give our position, so that we also put a voice on behalf of the rivers and to also stimulate the desire for many other stakeholders to come on board and help the rivers and the surrounding communities.
Yes. Let me turn to you, Dr. Hakonde, from the Zambia Institute of Environmental Health. Let's appreciate your perspective on this matter and how it is that this act could be bigger than we thought.
Exactly. This act, actually what happened, is very worrying to us, particularly as the environmental health practitioners. As environmental health practitioners, our main aim is to ensure that the health of the people is protected. And to those that are at risk, they are protected from contracting any of the diseases. And just to update our viewers and our listeners, the issue is that our health is dependent on the environment where we stay. For instance, what happened in the Copper Belt, that contamination affected the environment, and in that environment, some people were doing their farming. So you find that the crops which they grow in an area which is contaminated will actually absorb some of the heavy metals, and us, as we eat the produce from those plants, that will affect our health. Also, even the fish, other aquatic life in the river, we saw very worrying images where we saw fish dying, crocodiles getting affected. That was extremely worrying to us because we know that the fish that is contaminated, if people consume that fish, they will definitely they will be exposed to the contaminants, and they will definitely have their health affected. Of course, we saw the government coming in quickly to pour lime in the river, mostly to neutralize the acid. And little attention was given to the contamination of the heavy metals. And we have continued to echo our voice as a profession that actually that catastrophe, it was beyond the mere acid. The heavy metals are some things that are very serious, because our bodies do not have the capacity to completely eliminate the heavy metals once they get in our bodies, which we can be exposed through the food that we eat, the water that we drink. So the small concentrations that we can be exposed to can be increasing over the years. And after maybe many years, we'll be able to see health complications such as reproductive disturbances. We'll start seeing people having children that have got disabilities. We'll also be able to see an increase in the levels of cancers. Also, the capacity of the brain to grow, especially in the children, it becomes an issue. So that contamination there, the efforts which were there was mostly targeting on neutralizing the acid, but
and not eliminating the actual
and
problem.
not eliminating the heavy metals, which are still there, and people have continued to be exposed to those heavy metals. The fish, the crocodiles, and all the aquatic life are still continuously being exposed to these heavy metals.
So
the problem
under
is
these
with us.
circumstances, which is really worrying now, what can we do? Is there a solution?
A solution is there. The first responses that we expected to see, and as a profession we are very worried because we didn't see those efforts. We expected the health authorities to come on board and do massive screening to assess the levels of exposure so that those who were exposed could be put on medical attention. And then to also have a system that will ensure continuous health monitoring to see that when these health complications are manifesting, they will be able to receive that attention. But that was not done, and it is not yet too late. We expect something to be done. And at the same time, when it comes to remediation of the heavy metals, we haven't heard anything from the polluters and also from the authorities. And as a profession, we were very elated. I think ZNBC aired the news should be 2 days ago.
Yes.
Where the mines minister was talking about, was also worried that yes, compensation in terms of food and other livelihood sources is there. But what of compensation of the soil that was contaminated? Because the soil needs to be remediated. Once those remediations are not there, the food, the crops that will be grown there will be contaminated, and anyone who will eat those crops will be at a risk of being exposed to these health implications.
From African Rivers, how are you addressing this issue?
For us, we also did some studies. Zambia is not the only unique country that has experienced a similar sad situation. Mostly, mining countries like Chile, Brazil, Australia, South Africa, all these countries, they are prone to acidic affluents. Yes, and there's modern technology which they also employ in order to ensure that they pick those metal within the soil, at least to reduce it to a certain minimal level, and hoping that the water levels as well will rise. And once the water levels rise, the speed of the water flow increases, and probably it will take away some of the solid metals to somewhere where it can be deposited and far away to be accessed by the aquatic animals.
As a country, Zambia is, as I'm sure you heard in my preamble, we thrive on mining as a country for economic growth, and as of now we're targeting to produce about 3 million metric tons by 2031. Right now we're about 800,000 metric tons, just below 1 million metric tons, which means more mines will be opened, there will be more production, and now there's demand for critical minerals going into electric vehicles, solar panels, and all these. How can we protect our country, our people, our environment from such minor accidents? I don't know if I can call it an accident or negligence or whatever it is we can call it. How can we ensure we protect our country, even as we're trying to make this money? I'll start with you, Dr. Hakon.
Thank you very much. We know that mining is one of the key drivers for our economic development in the country. And almost the world over, mining now is more becoming like a solution to many of the problems, especially when we talk about green energy. The solution lies in mining. Now, for us from the Zambia Institute of Environmental Health, we know that we can still do something through, maybe I can say, a two-way approach. The first one is awareness creation. We need to create awareness among the members of the community and also among the members of the mining sectors. Okay. So that if the members of the community are aware of the contaminations, they will be able to also voice out so that there is proper environmental justice even among those that are exposed. Okay. And the other angle that we feel that hasn't been enhanced, particularly by the Zambian authorities, it is on the aspect of enforcement. Suffice to say, it is not only in the Copper Belt. We saw the contaminations in Mumbwa, the contaminations in Chingola. That tells us clearly that on the aspect of enforcement, we need to heighten that aspect.
Now, earlier in the week, the University of Zambia hosted the Climate Adaptation and Resilience 2025 CLAREXchange Forum. And of course, this is a project supported by the UK Aid. 90% of the funding is from UK Aid, as well as IDRC, which is a co-funder that is from Canada. And so this forum was held at Mulungushi International Conference Center, an international event that saw delegates from over 35 countries from all over the world. And President Hakainde Hichilema was guest of honor at this event, and he was represented by the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Honorable Mike Mposha MP. These are some of the highlights of the conference.
In the face of changing climate, sustainable solutions are being cultivated to change the narrative about the fight against climate change. In a quest to offer solutions to the devastating global effects that has not spared Zambia, the University of Zambia, pioneers of the Climate Adaptation Resilience CLARE project, has hosted the Climate Adaptation and Resilience Exchange CLAREXchange 2025 in Lusaka, Zambia, under the theme Co-creating Climate Adaptation and Resilience Narratives. The landmark event brought together researchers and institutions from CLARE-supported projects across Africa and the Asia-Pacific, creating an inclusive space for peer learning, collaboration, and the exchange for knowledge on climate adaptation and resilience. President Hakainde Hichilema was represented by Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Mike Mposha.
First of all, this conference couldn't have come at any better time than now, when, as you know, 2023-2024, we went through the most inflicting drought of our time, and we think that there couldn't have been any better host than Zambia. So we're very grateful to the government of the United Kingdom and the Canadian government for having pulled the resources together to put up the 2025 CLAREXchange conference. Such projects are very, very important, and I'm happy that the University of Zambia, the academicians have come on board to ensure that we conduct extensive research around what has to be done to, mitigate the effects and the impacts of climate change. And the selected areas, Kanyama and Kalikiliki, are very key to us as government due to the effects of climate change, which sometimes lead to flooding. Areas like Kalikiliki, Kanyama gets flooded, and as a result of that, coupled with poor sanitation facilities, you get cholera outbreaks. And for a project like this to focus on communities like Kanyama and Kalikiriki, which are very prone to flooding and ultimately resulting into disease outbreak, we think that the focus of this project is really on point.
This forum is more than just a professional gathering. It is a moment for Lusaka to stand as a learning city, open to new ideas and eager to showcase local efforts. I invite you to look closely at the city during your time here, to visit our communities, listen to our residents, and understand the local realities behind global climate statistics.
Head of Climate Science and Adaptation Research, UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development, FCDO, Dr. Rosalind West, emphasized the need for sustainable funding in order to achieve climate adaptation.
The UK is very proud to fund over 90% of the CLARE programme and is committed to the role of research and innovation to advance adaptation, particularly for those most vulnerable to climate change, ensuring sustainable and equitable development. From the outset, the vision for this CLARE programme has been to enable needs-driven, action-orientated research, through which transdisciplinary partnerships co-create effective solutions to the climate crisis for the most vulnerable.
And the University of Zambia, a key partner of the forum, reminded the stakeholders of its role on the project.
Today, we come together not merely as researchers, policy makers, practitioners or academics. We come together as stewards of our shared future. The challenges of climate change are undeniable. From floods that disrupt our communities, to droughts that threaten our food security, to the disruption of hydroelectric power generation, the backbone of our national energy supply and subsequent loss of livelihood. Tied to these sectors, climate impacts are not theoretical. They are our lived reality.
Climate adaptation has never been as important as it is today, not just for the lives of people, but also for the economic growth that matters so much to Zambia, to the UK, and to so many other governments. So today, we are very delighted as the UK to have funded 90% of the CLARE programme. We believe very much and we invest in research and innovation across the globe, because we believe that without that evidence, we can't implement really lasting solutions that make a difference to people's lives.
The 4-day conference aims to achieve meaningful solutions for climate-induced hazards in communities that lack adaptive capacity. The 2025 CLAREXchange Forum was the first in-person event meant to create sustainable solutions against climate change. Dominic Davis Chifumbe, reporting for Climate Check in Lusaka.
Well, this has been Climate Check for this week. I will be back next week, same channel, same time, for more information about the environment, sustainability, and ultimately putting our heads together towards climate action. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.